I didn't get one.
Chair, you are okay to go.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the November 19th, 2025 special hybrid meeting. I am Dan Thompson, Chair. Tonight's hybrid meeting, Planning Commission meeting, is brought to you by Zoom. Welcome to all and thank you for joining us tonight. We'll now do roll call. Commissioners, please have your microphones turned on for the roll call. Deputy City Clerk Deb Estrada, please call the roll.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Hughes? Here. Commissioner Neese?
Here.
Commissioner Perez?
Here.
Vice Chair Gibson?
Here.
And Chair Thompson?
Here.
Thank you.
The Planning Commission meets in person and utilizes the Zoom platform for remote participation. I will do my best to recognize commissioners in the order in which hands are raised. After being recognized, you may then ask your question. Our first item of business is public appearances. This is an opportunity for anyone to speak to the commission about issues of concern, except items requiring a public hearing, any quasi-judicial matters, or campaign-related matters. Staff, is there anyone who has signed up for public appearances as of 4 p.m. today who wishes to address the commission?
Chair, as of 4 p.m. today, we did not have anybody that signed up for public appearances. However, I do believe we have a couple of individuals in the audience that wish to speak to the public hearing.
Great, thank you. Okay, special business. The first item of special business is to review and consider approving the October 22 regular meeting minutes. Commissioners, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there is a motion by Vice Chair Gibson and a second by Commissioner Neese to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please conduct a roll call on the vote.
Thank you, Chair. Just to confirm, we have Vice Chair Gibson and a second by Neese to approve the minutes. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I will take the roll call vote. We have Commissioner Perez,
Aye.
Commissioner Neese,
Aye.
Chair Thompson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Hughes. Aye. Thank you so much.
The second and final item of special business is for the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing for the rezone of 2 city-owned properties and make a recommendation to the City Council. As this is a quasi-judicial proceeding, I will first go over the process for this matter. We will begin with the Assistant City Attorney asking the Commission members the appearance of fairness questions. After each commissioner has responded to the questions, the public will have the opportunity to present challenges. This is the time to bring forward information or inquiries related to whether each commissioner is in a position to make a fair and unbiased decision on this matter. If you would like to raise a challenge, please raise your hand to indicate that you would like to speak. The Deputy City Clerk will call on each person bringing forward a challenge in turn while enabling your video and microphone. After the appearance of fairness process, we will open the topic to take public comment. Members of the public wishing to speak on whether or not to rezone the 2 city-owned properties will have the opportunity to do so tonight. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, you will be asked to conclude your remarks and no extensions of time will be provided. This will allow everyone a chance to speak. A timer will be displayed on screen, and I will let you know when your 3 minutes are complete. Those wishing to comment but not using all of their 3 minutes may not donate their time to another individual wishing to comment. Following public comments, proponents of the proposal will be given 10 minutes to speak. Then city staff will be given 10 minutes to present a report laying out the staff analysis and the review procedure for the proposal. Project proponents and staff will then have an opportunity to present any rebuttal if needed. At that point, the commission will commence deliberations. Our deliberations this evening must be limited to the information in the public record. That includes the material in the agenda packet, as well as public comments and presentations this evening. The Planning Commission will be asked to adopt findings on each of the criteria for reclassification of property from the Mercer Island City Code. Then the commission will vote on a recommendation to the City Council. It is expected that the commission will conclude deliberations and make its final recommendation on this matter during tonight's meeting. Assistant City Attorney, will you please ask each member of the Planning Commission the appearance of fairness questions?
Yes, indeed, Chair. This is Eileen Kiefer. I serve as your contract assistant city attorney. So you know my order of operations. I'm going to ask each of you a series of questions. I'm going to start with the chair, the vice chair, then go through by position number. So with that, we'll start. Chair Thompson, are you ready for the appearance of fairness questions?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Do you have any interest in the properties or the application or own property within 300 feet of the properties subject to the proposal?
No.
Does your employer have an interest, financial or otherwise, in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Do you have any familial, social, or business relationships or connections with any of the parties or non-parties who have an interest in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Do you stand to gain or lose any financial benefit as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Have you engaged in any ex parte communication with either proponents or opponents of the proposal?
No.
And finally, can you hear and consider the proposal tonight in a fair and objective manner?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to Vice Chair Gibson. Are you ready for the appearance of fairness questions?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have any interest in the properties or the application or own property within 300 feet of the properties subject to the proposal?
No.
Does your employer have an interest, financial or otherwise, in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Is there any prospective employment for you or a member of your family as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Do you have any familial, social, or business relationships or connections with any of the parties or non-parties who have an interest in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Do you stand to gain or lose any financial benefit as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Have you engaged in any ex parte communication with either proponents or opponents of the proposal?
No.
And then finally, can you hear and consider the proposal tonight in a fair and objective manner?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Neese, are you ready for the appearance of fairness questions?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have any interest in the properties or the application or own property within 300 feet of the properties subject to the proposal?
No.
Does your employer have an interest, financial or otherwise, in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Is there any prospective employment for you or a member of your family as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Do you have any familial, social, or business relationships or connections with any of the parties or non-parties who have an interest in the outcome of this proceeding?
Yes. My brother, Salim Neese, is the current mayor of Mercer Island.
Do you stand to gain or lose any financial benefit as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Have you engaged in any ex parte communications with either proponents or opponents of the proposal?
No.
And then finally, can you hear and consider the proposal tonight in a fair and objective manner?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Accuse, are you ready for the questions?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have any interest in the properties or the application or own property within 300 feet of the properties subject to the proposal?
No.
Does your employer have an interest, financial or otherwise, in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Is there any prospective employment for you or a member of your family as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Do you have any familial, social, or business relationships or connections with any of the parties or non-parties who have an interest in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Do you stand to gain or lose any financial benefit as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Have you engaged in any ex parte communications with either proponents or opponents of the proposal?
No.
And then finally, can you hear and consider the proposal tonight in a fair and objective manner?
Yes.
Thank you. And finally, Commissioner Perez, are you ready for the questions?
I am.
Thank you. Do you have any interest in the properties or the application or own property within 300 feet of the property subject to the proposal?
No.
Does your employer have an interest, financial or otherwise, in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Is there any prospective employment for you or a member of your family as a result of the outcome of this proceeding?
There is not.
Do you have any familial, social, or business relationships or connections with any of the parties or non-parties who have an interest in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
Have you engaged in any ex parte communications with either proponents or opponents of the proposal?
No.
Can you hear and consider the proposal tonight in a fair and objective manner?
Yes.
Thank you. Chair, that concludes the appearance of fairness questions.
Thank you. Does anyone in attendance wish to challenge the participation of any commission members based on appearance and fairness doctrine? If so, please raise your hand. If you are reviewing the meeting on Zoom, please use the virtual raise hand feature located at the bottom of the Zoom interface. Select raise hand. The host will then see that you have raised your hand and can invite you to speak. When called upon, please state the name of the commission member and reasons why you believe they should be disqualified from this matter. Please remember, we are not taking public comment at this point in the evening, so please limit your statements to only any reasons you believe a commission member should be disqualified. We will hear all challenges first before any challenged commission member will have an opportunity to respond to such challenge. Challenges are not an opportunity to ask questions of the commissioners, and we would ask that those making challenges succinctly state the reasons supporting such challenge. There is no time limit on challenges, but it is not an opportunity for the public to ask questions of or engage in debate with the commissioners.
Chair, as of this moment, my apologies for the echo, but there is nobody who is asked to challenge.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Do any commission members wish to disqualify themselves? Okay, now we will go to administering the oath. We will now swear in the witnesses who will testify in these proceedings. This includes those who wish to make public comment on this matter. Would all city staff, applicants, and other persons wishing to testify tonight please stand and raise your right hand? For those in the virtual audience wishing to testify, please raise your virtual hand so that the deputy clerk can identify you and elevate you to a meeting participant. Once this is done, please turn your video and microphone on and raise your right hand. Is everyone ready, Deputy Clerk?
Chair, at this moment, there is nobody in the virtual waiting room. However, we do have 2 individuals from the audience and 2 staff members that have requested to speak.
All right. Do you promise to tell the truth in these proceedings? If so, please respond, I do.
I do.
City staff will now read into the record any written comments received after the publication of the agenda packet. City staff, has the city received any written comments since November 14th at 1:18 p.m. when the agenda packet was last updated?
No, we have not.
Okay. The public comment for the rezone of 2 city-owned properties is now open. We will now ask for members of the public to present comments. Members of the public, if you wish to comment, please raise your physical hand, or if joining remotely, please raise your virtual hand. City staff will call on all of those with hands raised until all those who wish to comment have done so. Please remember to state your name, confine your remarks to the matter at hand, and that you have a time limit of 3 minutes. City staff will alert you when your time limit has expired. Can you please call the first person to testify?
Thank you, Chair. Our first person will be Matt Goldbaum. And he'll step up to the, thank you.
Welcome, and please begin your comments when you're ready.
Well, thank you. My name is Matt Goldbach, and a resident of Mercer Island. So I'm going to be really brief. Just a couple of things that I only got to review this very, very recently. The only sign that this is happening was been laying down flat on the street, and all the pages were full of water. I did not know about this meeting until a few days ago. At which point I actually had to call the city, and they sent me a copy of what the notice was. So I've had a lot of time to review it, but there's a number of things that certainly stand out. Let me start by saying I do object to the changing of the zone, number one, and primarily because I have not been able to make myself aware of what are the differences between the zone, meaning the residential zone, and the PI zone. What's the impact? What are the setbacks? What are the height restrictions? It seems rather confusing. It seems that it's almost like a commercial zone. I think you can build right out to the street, one, and two, it seems like it's adjudicated by the code in the city center. And that seems very odd to me, and something that as a resident, I live outside of the 300-foot zone. I think I'm about 500 feet away. I would hate to see some kind of monster being built there. And frankly, the fact that the rezone thing, as best I could tell, was never part of the whole bond issue. The only thing we've actually discussed with the public is the bond. And we saw all these pictures and looked at all this stuff, but nobody pointed out the zone change. What does that mean? Why? Why would you do that? Because the CPD says that for many decades, we've done this activity in this location without any big struggle. I think there are complaints about how it's been handled over the years, but they weren't zoning issues. They were, in fact, maintenance issues. If you live on 40th Street or ever use 40th Street, take a look at what it looks like. It's a jungle. The city doesn't do any maintenance, never has. So behind the JCC, it's not them, it belongs to the city, not maintained. Down the street to where it is the city, not maintained. If any of us, any resident kept our place like that, we'd get a fine. You just can't let the place overgrow out into the street. But the city does it and has done it for decades. Now, I'm not saying I'd like to keep that, but I don't see anything in what I'm reading that says it's going to get better. All the other way. It seems to me that doing this project under the residential code, as it's been done in the past, at least the public is involved. You have to get a cup.
10 seconds.
Well, let's see. That's it. I'm against it.
Time.
Thank you. Deputy Clerk, can you identify the next person to offer public comment?
Thank you, Chair. There's another individual in the audience. I don't know her name, but she wishes to speak, so we'll let her go up to the mic and introduce herself.
Welcome, and when you're ready, begin your comment, and it may help if you identify if you live near this project.
I'm Patton Guggen, live on the corner of
Can you-
40th.
Your microphone.
I live on the corner of 40th and 96. My concern is what does the city plan to do to stabilize the hill? Because back in the 1980s, 79, the city dug the hill out down there to do what they already did, caused all of our houses all the way down 96 cul-de-sac to all slide. And if you look at all the records, it was in a lawsuit. And the water mains keep breaking 3-4 times in our yard because the hill's moving, and now you're gonna dig out and you haven't told us what you're gonna do to fix it, to keep it from doing that. That's my concern.
Thank you.
Chair, for the record, I'll ask the speaker to identify their name again, please, for the
Pat
record.
McGugan,
Pat Guggen?
Pat McGugan,
McGugan. Could you spell your last name, please?
McGougan.
Thank you.
Deputy Clerk, am I correct that that is the last person who signed up to offer comments?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I now close the public comment period. We will now ask the proposal proponents to speak on the proposal. Please recall that you will have 10 minutes to speak.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Kelly Hildy, Deputy Director of Public Works, here on behalf of the city as the applicant for rezone application RZN 25-001. Tonight, I'm presenting the city's request to reclassify 2 city-owned parcels, the City Hall property and the Public Works Maintenance and Operations site. These parcels are currently zoned commercial office, or as I will refer to, CO, and residential R8.4. The purpose of this rezone is to align the zoning with the comprehensive plan, which designates both parcels as public facility, and to apply one consistent zoning framework that supports future development of a modern public safety and maintenance facility, or PSM. Rezoning both parcels to public institution, or PI, removes the outdated split zoning on parcel B and establishes predictable, appropriate development standards. I'll start with a quick review of the existing uses and zoning, then summarize how the proposal meets the 7 required rezone criteria, and finally highlight the public comments we received and how the city responded. Here we go. Before we get into the rezone proposal, here's a quick summary of current uses on the 2 parcels. Parcel A contains the vacant City Hall building, staff parking, and temporary police trailers. Parcel B houses the Public Works Maintenance and Operations Facility, crew reporting areas, offices, material storage, equipment parking, loading, deliveries, and the decant facility. This slide shows the current zoning for the 2 parcels. As I previously mentioned, Parcel A is zoned CO. Parcel B is split between R8.4 residential on the south and CO on the north. Even though both parcels support municipal functions, the split zoning creates inconsistent development standards. This mismatch is one of the primary reasons the city is proposing the PI zoning designation. Surrounding the site, to the north, PI and CO, to the east and west, CO and multifamily zoning. To the south are 8.4 single-family homes. The site sits at the intersection of several zoning types, and municipal operations have coexisted within the mix for decades. This context helps show why the PI designation fits well within the area's established land use pattern. Here is a side-by-side comparison of existing and proposed zoning. On the left is the current zoning designations, and on the right is the proposed PI zoning for both parcels. Under MICC 1915-240C, the city must demonstrate that the rezone meets 7 required criteria. These relate to consistency with the comp plan, the development code, compatibility with surrounding uses, and ensuring no adverse impacts to public health, safety, and welfare. The next slides summarize how the proposal meets each of these criteria, and more detailed analysis is provided in Exhibit 4 of the staff report. Both parcels are designated public facility in the comp plan, adopted by Ordinance 24C16, intended for uses such as City Hall, civic facilities, and municipal services. Rezoning to PI directly aligns the zoning map with the adopted land use designation and reflects both current and planned public uses. The rezone also supports development of a future PSM facility, which will replace aging City Hall and Public Works buildings and consolidate key city services into a modern, efficient complex. This action supports key comprehensive plan policies, including Capital Facilities Goal 1, ensuring essential public facilities are available at adopted level of services, and Capital Facilities Goal 2, planning for and replacing aging public buildings to support reliable delivery of service. The Development Code is intended to protect public health, safety, and welfare by regulating land use, ensuring coordinated development and supporting essential public services. Rezoning to PI directly supports these purposes. It implements the public facility designation, enables replacement of outdated infrastructure, and ensures both parcels are governed by one consistent set of development standards. The PI zone already exists directly north of these parcels, so applying PI here simply continues that designation south in a consistent way. It also provides a clear transition between the surrounding zones. To the north is PI, to the south is R84, and to the east and west are a mix of CO and R8.4. Parcel A fronts Southeast 36th Street, which is already zoned PI, and Parcel B backs onto Southeast 40th Street next to residential properties. PI serves as an appropriate civic buffer between commercial uses and lower density homes. Under Washington case law, a rezone is only illegal if it isolates a small pocket for an incompatible use, conflicts with the comp plan, benefits a private party, or lacks a relationship to public health, safety, and welfare. None of those apply here. These are contiguous city-owned parcels that have supported public facilities for over 40 years. The rezone extends the existing PI zone, aligns directly with the comp plan's public facility designation, and remains compatible with surrounding zones. Government uses are already permitted in CO and allowed by a conditional use permit in R8.4. Most importantly, the rezone provides no private benefit. Its sole purpose is to support essential government operations, improving emergency response, operational efficiency, and long-term service delivery. City Hall and the maintenance and operation facilities have operated at this location for decades, as I've mentioned before, and have coexisted with the surrounding residential and commercial areas. Rezoning to PI simply formalizes these long-standing civic uses and aligns the zoning with the comprehensive plan's public facility designation. The PI zone is compatible with the commercial zoning to the north and west because both support larger building forms, structured parking, and employment or service-oriented uses. To the south, where the site borders the R8.4 single-family neighborhood, the PI zone provides an appropriate civic transition between commercial and lower-density residential properties. Compatibility will also be reinforced through PI development standards, which are codified in the city's regulations, and the design standards in Chapter 1911, which address site layout, buffering, landscape, and building form. The rezone supports construction of a PSM facility, replacing temporary and inadequate structures currently used by police, emergency management, and public works. Consolidating these functions will improve coordination, response times, and operational efficiency. The proposal is fully consistent with the comp plan's public facility designation and implements Capital Facilities Goal 1, which supports reliable, essential public services that maintain community safety, health, and livability. Both parcels are already designated public facility in the comprehensive plan, and PI zoning is fully consistent with that designation. Because the proposal aligns with the comprehensive plan, no comprehensive plan amendment is required, and this criterion is not applicable. Public comments included concerns about compatibility with nearby homes, site conditions, noise and traffic from city vehicles, and potential environmental impacts, such as stormwater, fuel storage, and tree removal. Some commenters asked whether the facility should be relocated or partially redeveloped for housing. We responded by explaining that the site has a legally established municipal facility for over 40 years and is designated for long-term public use in the comprehensive plan. Redevelopment under a PI zoning will improve screening, design, and overall site function, and all environmental, design, and cleanup standards will apply during the land use review and permitting. And I do want to emphasize that would be under current code. In closing, the proposed rezone aligns with the comprehensive plan, applies consistent and appropriate zoning across both parcels, and meets the 7 criteria required under MICC 1915-240 and C. And with that, I will turn it over.
Thank you very much. Now, planning staff, we will now ask city staff to please present their staff report on the proposal. They will have 10 minutes.
Thank you. Okay, I'll start by giving a short overview of the process, highlighting where we are now and what's to come for the rest of the night. So first I'll give my staff presentation, and then both the applicant and staff will be available to answer questions prior to the commission beginning deliberations. To reiterate, the recommendation that is made tonight needs to be based off of the content of the record and the things presented to you tonight. So it's important that all of your questions are answered before getting into deliberation and adoption of the findings, which I'll go over at the end of my presentation. Brief overview of the proposal. So it's to amend Appendix D in the Mercer Island City Code to rezone 2 parcels, which contain the City Hall building and the maintenance and operations buildings, from commercial office and single-family residential to public institution, as Kelly said. The images on the screen show the current zoning designations and the proposed, and this is just a zoomed-in version of the proposed Appendix D, which is contained in your staff report under Exhibit 9. Looking back at the process over the last few months, the Community Planning and Development Department received the application on September 17th, and it was determined to be complete for processing on September 19th. A combined notice of application and notice of public hearing was mailed to properties within 300 feet of the subject site and posted on site in 2 locations visible from the right-of-way, on Southeast 36th Street and Southeast 40th Street, and also published in the city's weekly permit bulletin. And then the notice was also published in the Mercer Island Reporter a couple days later on October 1st, which officially started the 30-day comment period, lasting through October 31st. So during this time, 4 public comments were received. 2 of those were largely geared toward the SEPA portion of the application, and those were addressed in the applicant's response as part of the SEPA determination of non-significance, which was issued on November 3rd, and no appeals were filed regarding that decision. And you can find all of those materials in the staff report under Exhibits 14, 15, and 17. So in order for an application for a reclassification of property or a rezone to be approved, the application must meet all 7 of the criteria found in Mercer Island City Code section 19.15.240C. Those criteria have been summarized by Kelly already, so I won't get into details on each of those, but in short, the application must be consistent with the comp plan, and the purpose of the development code must be an extension of an existing zone or a logical transition, not an illegal site-specific rezone or spot zone, and compatible with surrounding land uses. The staff report included as Exhibit 2 in your packet includes staff findings on the review that was performed by staff to analyze the consistency of the application with the criteria for rezones, and also includes a staff recommendation based on this review. In the next 7 slides, I'll give a short summary of the staff findings for each of the criteria of approval, but again, there's much more detail in the staff report itself. Staff find that the proposal is consistent with the comprehensive plan in that both parcels are designated as public facility in the comp plan, and the proposal aligns with the description of this designation and the goals and policies. And the proposal would reflect both the current and planned public use of the 2 properties. Staff find that the proposal is consistent with the purpose of the development code as set forth in MICC 19-01010, and that the proposal promotes the health, safety, and welfare by enabling the future development of the property with a facility that would provide essential public services and coordinated development by establishing a single zone for the city-owned properties. Staff finds the proposal is an extension of an existing zone, as the adjacent zone to the north of the subject properties is PI, and there is a zoning map in the exhibits. I did not note which one, but you can see that connection there. Staff finds that the proposal does not constitute an illegal site-specific rezone or spot zone, as it does not have one or all of the 5 characteristics that Kelly just outlined, and those are further detailed in the staff report. I'll give a summary here that the proposal expands an existing zoning designation, allows uses that are consistent with the uses in the surrounding zones, is not merely for the private gain of one or a group of owners, but instead provides benefits that are citywide, and also supports the public health, safety, and welfare citywide by allowing for a facility that enables the city to deliver essential services. Staff finds that the proposal is compatible with the surrounding zones and land uses. These uses have coexisted for decades, and the proposal would formalize this use and align it with the comprehensive plan designation of public facility. Both the PI and CO zones accommodate larger buildings and service-related uses, and the R 8.4 zone does allow government services through a conditional use permit. And staff find that the proposal does not adversely affect public health, safety, and welfare, and promotes it through enabling the replacement of outdated municipal facilities. The City Hall building has been closed for a few years now, and the services that used to be provided from that building are in temporary locations, which potentially hinder the city's ability to serve the residents efficiently. And the proposal would allow the city to coordinate between departments in an adequately sized and designed building to provide these services, and therefore enhance public health, safety, and welfare. And finally, criteria 7 is not applicable, as we discussed, since the proposal does not require a comp plan amendment. Both properties are currently designated public facility, and the PI zone aligns with this designation. So before we move on to questions, I'll remind the commission that findings must be adopted for all 7 of the criteria we just went over, and there is an option to make a main motion to adopt the findings documented in the staff report and uphold the finding that a certain criteria has been met, and then optionally the commission can make a secondary motion to amend the main motion to add or revise findings. And then once those findings have been adopted, the commission must make a recommendation to the city council on whether to approve or deny the requested reclassification based on the adopted findings. And I'm happy to put this recommended motion back on the screen once we get to that portion of the meeting. And then also, before we move on to questions, once we get to the deliberation and adoption of findings, please ask me to put the specific criteria back on the screen, because you'll need to adopt findings for each of those specific criteria. And that is all I have for you.
Thank you. The proposal proponents will now be provided a brief opportunity to present any rebuttal You will have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you for the opportunity, but I do not have any rebuttal comments.
City staff will now be provided a brief opportunity to present rebuttal. Again, you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
I do not have comments.
Thank you. Before we begin deliberations, I'll ask the Assistant City Attorney to remind us of the procedures for our deliberations this evening.
Thank you, Chair. Before you begin your deliberations, I just want to remind the commission that this is a quasi judicial matter. So that means that it's court-like or almost judicial, as you've seen this evening. So you'll have an opportunity now to ask questions of the proposal applicants and or staff. After that, you will close the record and begin deliberations. After the record is closed, no additional information may be entered into the record from any source. And your deliberations tonight must be based solely upon the information contained within the record and not any other information. So to sum up, if you have questions, it's important that you get them answered at this point in time. And with that reminder, I'll turn it back over to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Planning Commission members, we'll now turn to questions for staff and the proponents. Would somebody like to begin? Vice Chair Gibson.
This is a question for the staff. So my understanding is the city is the applicant in this situation and the city is also the reviewer. Can you just describe how internally you're separated and if there's any crossover that would create any sort of conflict?
Yeah, so I did not have any kind of involvement in the preparing of the application. I reviewed it just like any other application would when it comes in, and reviewed the application materials for consistency with the criteria. Are you looking for more specific?
It was just you involved in the review, or
Yeah, and Allison and Jeff as well.
Got it.
The director.
Yeah, so basically the way that worked was the Community Planning and Development Department reviewed the application and the Public Works Department was responsible for developing the application and submitting it. And we acted as permit reviewer and applicant in those roles. We did not work behind the scenes.
got
Would somebody else now like to ask a question? And we can come back if you have more. Commissioner Perez?
Mine's kind of a bit of a general question here, having to do with adjacent properties. Immediately to the east of this parcel is a rather large lot. It appears to be between 40th and 97th. It's a bit of an island lot, and it's just before the JCC. What is the use of that? Is there any city-owned property there, or is there any, is it just simply a residential parcel, that entire length? It's facing north-south. It's a long rectilinear lot. And I'm sorry, I didn't visit the site prior.
I might share my screen just to make sure. Oh, do you remember?
Go ahead, and
Okay.
I'll just chime in if I've got any other information besides what you're about to say.
Just to make sure we're talking about the same property.
Thank you.
Sure.
So it's 3809 on your, right there, exactly. So it appears to be two unused lots, north and south, and then 3809 is a single residential.
It looks like records show that it's owned by Mercer Wood Holdings LLC,
Okay.
and I'm not sure what the use is.
Okay, thank you. It's just a general question in terms of context.
Next question by any type of Yes, Commissioner Neese.
Thanks. Um, so I just wanted to understand a little bit more about the site because it seems to have a lot of comments from public relating to issues such as appearance, maintenance, uh, steep slope, environmental issues, which obviously reading through the material, there's streams and wetlands and other things. My question is there sort of a separation here of the rezone and other issues? Because this appears to be a lot of complaints that are related to things that whether this is zoned 8.4 or PI, in my mind, may be irrelevant and not solved by any sort of rezone. Or so I guess my question is, the rezone, does this help or hurt any of these issues, or are these completely separate issues that should be dealt with in a different way? And then I guess maybe it would be helpful to others to voice what are those methods for getting those issues solved.
Yeah, so you're correct. The critical areas code applies regardless of what zone the property is in. And once an application comes in for actual development, it will be reviewed against that critical areas code for things like mitigation sequencing. There's wetlands on the site and a stream, so it will be reviewed against standards for development near those sites. There's geologic hazard areas. So all of that review will happen at the time an application is received.
Next question. I'll have a question. Is there a way that you can put up MICC 19.05.010, which is the public institution code?
Yes, just give me 1 second.
Sure. Okay. I want to get a little clarity here on the difference between the land use map, which has it as public facility, and the zoning, public institution, and what that means. And if I look at this, it looks to me like under paragraph E, and I remember we went through this when the public institution zone was created. The height limit is 36 feet, and it can be increased 12 feet for each additional 2.5 acres. This is a 14-acre property, so theoretically, the height limit would be almost close to 80 feet, wouldn't it?
I have not done the calculations, but it's possible, yes.
Okay, and the public institution zone has very specific setbacks for certain public institution uses like schools. But when it comes to city-owned property, it references the town center code. And the town center code has 0 setbacks. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
So theoretically, if we rezone this property, public institution, the city could create a nearly 80-foot tall building directly on the property line adjacent to one of the residential properties, couldn't they?
They could.
Okay. That's my concern. We have the residential properties. I know that this was all based upon the bond passing, and there'll probably be a subsequent lower bond. But my concern is if we rezone this public institution, and I'm not sure that that's necessary for the scale of the structures under the next bond, but the people who own residential properties were going to be very difficult to sell their properties or the value of them. Because I know you can come in and sit there and say, well, you know, the city is going to act in good faith. But somebody who is looking at purchasing one of those properties is going to have to be told and understood that under the zoning that the city adopted this public institution zone, and we really complained about the lack of setbacks on this, that they could have like a back of a Walmart all along their property line, right on the property line with no setback. Is there some way that we can rezone this property public institution, these two properties, but protect setbacks on those residential properties?
I believe that would require a code amendment.
That's what I was thinking. All right. Yes, Commissioner Vice Chair Gibson.
So throughout the criteria, it references the PSM building as being a part of the justification that it's going to provide services to the community, and that's the reason it aligns with the comprehensive plan and so on. That's referenced throughout. In light of the bond failing, does that undermine or disqualify that justification for this rezone?
No, because funding and zoning are totally two different things. When it comes to these two parcels, they are used for government services. They will continue to be used for government services. These facilities are outdated. City Hall is no longer being used, and at some point in the future, if it's 2 years or 10 years, improvements are going to need to be made to those facilities, or a new facility, as with the PSM building, will be proposed to be built. So again, there's that funding issue, and then there is the zoning issue. For us to be able to continue moving forward and improving the site, that is something we're going to have to do to continue offering those services to the community as efficiently as possible.
Yes, Commissioner Hughes.
I got a couple. Are we doing one question at a time?
No, do a couple.
Okay. One of my questions had to do with Ecology's letter. The site was taken off the voluntary cleanup program for lack of compliance, it sounds like, but then the city's response said you are complying. Can somebody clarify what is actually happening and why are we no longer in the voluntary cleanup program?
Actually, I cannot answer that question. That is another person on our staff who is managing that work. But yes, we have been working with Ecology for years on cleaning up that contamination and continue to be current with our reports back to Ecology. But any further detail than that, I cannot provide you.
Okay, and then I also have a question about the WDFW letter. I didn't realize there was a fish-bearing stream on this site. There aren't a lot on Mercer Island, and I don't recall seeing anything about that in the proposal for the new facility, and that's a little bit disconcerting to me as a ecologist. So I'm curious, and then also just listening to the reading the letters that were sent in and listening to the comment we heard tonight. I'm concerned about public process associated with the new facility. And I'm a little concerned about saying too much here because this is a quasi judicial proceeding. And I think for the proceeding, I think the city and the applicant have demonstrated they have met all the criteria. And I think the concerns that we're bringing up really relate to the public process and the design of the new facility. So, given the voluntary cleanup, given there's a fish site that wasn't even, or a fish bearing stream that wasn't mentioned in the planning documents, I'm a little bit tied up on this, but I think that all said, I do think the applicant and the city have met the requirements for the rezone.
So I will be voting yes on the rezone. And my hope is that the city will really take seriously the comments received about the rebuilding of the site, the complaints the neighbors have made about existing problems that have not been resolved, the cleanup that hasn't been done, the fact that there's a fish stream that wasn't addressed in the design that was proposed originally. I really, really hope that that those can be addressed. The consistency, sure. I don't see how we can vote against it. It's consistent, in my opinion. If I may, I'd like to respond. So we did include a wetland and stream analysis with our application that did identify the fish-bearing streams on the property. They were also surveyed, so that was included in the site plans that were also submitted with the application. And you bring up very important concerns, and I absolutely acknowledge them, especially the public process once we're out of this phase and we're into the land use development phase of the project. Because we are a city, we do have, a responsibility to have a public process with our projects, our CIP projects. And so just like with a park, we will be engaging the community. So that is forthcoming. And again, we do have to go through land use review and building review before there's a shovel that goes in the ground. So the environmental concerns that you brought up are the same environmental concerns we have as an applicant. And we'll address that through future development and permitting reviews. Clarification.
Chair,
Pardon?
Can I make a clarification?
Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just quick clarification. I'm saying there wasn't any kind of design feature for the fish stream. Like I would have hoped if there was a fish bearing stream that we would see like a really nice, landscape element for that, because they were very expensive drawings and pretty elaborate, and that seems to be a feature that we might want to include and may have given some reassurance to the neighbors. Thanks. Thank you for clarifying. That's everything I have.
Okay, we can come back.
Chair,
Commissioner
if-
Perez?
If I may, I wanted to go back and circle back to something actually that you commented on several minutes ago. You said that the design regulations and the town center code would apply to this property, which is true. And then you went on to say that that could allow something like a Walmart to be built here, which I think is actually incorrect. Well, it's true that there's not a setback required. There are substantial design requirements in the town center code that would apply, that require fenestration, modulation, green space, and other design elements that would require the building to look much different from something like a big box store. Furthermore, commercial uses like a Walmart would not be allowed in the PI zone.
No, I was talking scale, not
Yeah.
uses.
So I just wanted to comment on that to make sure that the record's clear on that piece.
Okay, Commissioner Perez.
Thank you very much. And this is somewhat hypothetical at this particular point too, but going through looking at the zoning map associated with Mercer Island, and noting that that Mercerdale Park is also a PI zone. Just theoretically, and if you could just help me understand, if the city development in the future, again, looking at Kate, not knowing exactly how that's all going to work, but if that city development for some reason did not occur on this parcel of land, theoretically, this could become a park under the PI zone. Is that correct? Like Mercerdale?
From just a pure zoning perspective, yes. If the city chose not to develop it, it could revert to a park use.
Just for clarification, was Mercerdale added to the park zone? I thought it was. It was
The
PI.
park was, yes. The thrift store was not.
Right, okay, so the park actually is now in the park zone.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
do you have a question, Commissioner Neese? You look pensive.
Sorry.
Trying to piece this all together. I'm thinking about this site and then the environmental setbacks, which Molly, you clarified are really a result of critical areas regulations. Chair Thompson pointing out potential setbacks and height limits. And I'm looking at criteria 5. The proposed reclassification is compatible with surrounding zones and land uses. As Chair Thompson presents it, one, if a building could indeed, which I don't know if it can exactly, but be put up to a property line and be 80 feet tall doesn't sound compatible. However, looking at all the other material on the site, about the site with all the criteria for the setbacks for critical areas, you could never on this site actually build, I think, build a building up to those property lines. But that's not the zoning code, that's critical areas. Are we evaluating the criteria here on the zoning code and putting that aside? Or are we looking at the site as this is this particular site? It won't allow you to do much except for something, I think, in the center, which is similar to what is there now, which happens to, I think, be what the new city hall plan builds upon over existing impervious surface. Those are the restrictions of this particular site. So how am I supposed to evaluate it? On what criteria? Only the zoning code that could allow for building to the edge, which can't actually happen due to other codes.
I think we really just need to look at the 7 criteria that Molly and Kelly went over earlier. So there's a 7 code criteria for rezones, and if those criteria are met, then this should be approved. And so really the commission should look at the staff findings on those issues and determine if you concur with the staff findings or if you would like to adopt different findings.
Did you have a question? Yeah,
I've got plenty.
okay. Vice Chair Gibson.
So the existing site is used for the same uses that the PSM is being proposed to use. And I understand based on the material that it was initially put in place that way through a cup, which allowed the use. And under that cup, they have to just meet the underlying zone of the residential code in terms of massing and so on. Is it feasible or within the as currently zoned for the city to replace the building like for like as designed and meet the residential code without a rezone?
If the use and structure is legally non-conforming and meets the criteria to remodel or redevelop a legally non-conforming structure, it's possible. I don't know what feasibility studies went into that design and those aspects of the project.
Right. So it would have to meet the zoning regulations of the residential zone. But then I also understand the uses are strictly limited to whatever was granted in the cup. However, I guess the question here is, are there any uses proposed in the PSM building that go beyond what is currently the site being used for?
I don't know the specifics of the PSM building uses. This review was based on the criteria for the rezone. And I don't know if you.
Got it. So basically this rezone lifts or upzones the size and scale and setbacks of the property and perpetually broadens the allowable uses that the city can use the site for to anything that falls under the PI zone rather than what the current cup allows. And so I guess the main question is, is there a feasible path to do this to provide a replacement PSM building without the rezone? And it sounds like the answer is yes, if they follow the underlying residential code massing requirements and fit within the zone, the existing code. Is that true?
I see that our assistant city attorney has her hand raised. It might make sense to call on her to speak to this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Vice Chair, I think what you're asking about is a bit beyond the proceeding today. Again, we've got a narrow proceeding today just on the proposed rezones. I think what you're asking about is a hypothetical project, which would be a project application, and that's just frankly beyond the scope. It's a bit more narrow tonight. Thanks.
And can I just ask a question to respond to that? The reason that I think this applies here is just most of the criterion that are under being evaluated here are on the basis that it's the services provided by the PSM building meet the criteria. And so it's where I'm going with this is if we approve the rezone, it would grant the city the right to put anything on this property that falls within the PI zone. And if they did not build the PSM, all the criteria that the rezone or the basis that the rezone was approved on now doesn't apply because it wasn't built. So I'm not sure if you're tracking me there, but that's kind of where my question is going.
Yeah, again, I just want to redirect commission. We've got a narrow focus tonight. We're talking about the potential reclassification of rezones. I understand you're trying to get context, but I do think that what you're asking about is if you deny the rezone, a kind of hypothetical, I guess, remodel of existing facilities, and what that looks like is a bit beyond the scope of tonight's hearing.
Okay, so then I would go to say if we cannot reference a specific project that the rezone could hypothetically be under, any references to that hypothetical project shouldn't necessarily be a basis of the criteria that the zoning rezone is approved. So it's either you consider the project as proposed or you don't, but it seems like we're considering it in some cases and not considering it in other.
I'm not sure I'm tracking. So this is a bit of a two-step process. So there's the underlying zoning that gives you, zoning tells you a range of uses within the zone, right? PI zone says this use is allowed, this use is allowed, this use is allowed, this use is allowed. A project specific permit would come in later, an application for an actual facility, and that would be handled at a different time. So like I said, I'm just trying to keep us to the rezone. The question is really, does the proposed rezone meet the qualifications under 1915-240, as opposed to any specific project specific application that would come later? I hope that helps.
Yeah, so criteria number 2, asking if the proposed reclassification is consistent with the purpose of the development code. In the staff finding says the reclassification would promote health, safety, and welfare by enabling the construction of the public safety and maintenance facility. It seems that if we're not talking about a specific project, then that project should not be considered in the approval or matching of the criteria.
So I just want to bring your attention to, it says subsection 2 says the proposed reclassification is consistent with the purpose of the Mercer Island Development Code 1901-010. So again, it's a bit more broad. It's the purpose of the development code as opposed to any particular specifics that would come later through a project specific application.
Okay.
I'd like to ask a question because I want to go back. I think our stumbling block, which goes back to when it was implemented, is the lack of regulatory limits for city-owned projects in the public institution zone. So the two main criteria in the application are that from a land use pattern perspective, the PI zone serves as an appropriate transition between zoning districts. And I have a hard time with that because it's the most extreme zone on the island. I don't see how it transitions. It's the town center. It was like saying that town center zoning serves as a transition between zones. And so I didn't understand that. The other one I want to get at is the other criteria is that this is going to promote the public health and welfare through a new PSM building, police building. And as everybody knows, I was probably the biggest public proponent for the bond. But it's not clear to me that those things can't be done without a rezone to PI. And that's because the city hall is 35,000 square feet. The current public maintenance building is 15,380 square feet, I think. And this rezone was originally based on the fact that the bond would pass and the new structure would be 67,000 square feet with not including the outdoor covered parking. So I'm not sure. I mean, I've got 50,000 square feet between the two structures. I agree completely that they need to be replaced and we need new structures. But I'm having a hard time seeing why that can't be done without going to the public institution zone, where I am bothered by the lack of regulatory limits and protection for the residential neighbors under the public institution zone. Although I have a lot more trust in the city as an applicant than I would as a private developer, but still, it could be several years before this project gets going. And if you're an adjacent neighbor and you have to sit there and the realtor is going to say, what's the zoning next to your property? And pull up, the public institution zone, they don't have any guarantee. They can't sit there and say, I promise that the city will, put in a stream for fish or do this. That, I just want to, those are the two criteria, getting back to what the assistant city attorney was saying that I want to hone in on. I don't think the PI zone is a transition zone. And I don't understand how, and I wish it was, because then, there'd be no problem. We'd all be voting yes. And then the other one is where we come in, and I don't see how we can't promote the health and welfare of the island through a new police station, which we need, and a new public service maintenance building and storage. I understand that. I was a huge proponent, but it can be done without the rezone. I see somebody's got their hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to direct us back to questions before we really start getting into deliberations and considering adoption of any different or additional findings. I think we should finish up with the questions and then close the record.
All right, let me phrase that as a question. Under the current zoning, could a new police department public maintenance building that we're looking at equal the same 50,000 square feet that's currently on the site?
Can I offer something?
Yes, sure.
I'm going to offer something for our benefit because I think that the city and the city attorney have tried to address this a couple of times, and it's tricky ground. But we can't discuss any theoreticals here. And the reason we can't discuss them is because it's not just Mercer Island City Code, it's ecology code, it's WDFW code, is there federal airspace, any specific type of project, we know it's non-conforming right now as it is. So there's already that. And then you've got a fish-bearing stream. There are new rules about how you deal with fish-bearing streams that weren't there when they did the cup, right? So in order to give a real answer to something like that, these are very legitimate questions and concerns. They can't do that without looking at a specific projects and then looking at, the 10 to 20 permits from Mercer Island and other agencies. They have to have those other agencies weigh in on all those to a specific proposal. And we've run into this all the time in project planning. It's unfortunate, but I think we do need to narrow the scope of our conversation to just, does it meet it, or does it meet the criteria, or does it not? And if you don't believe it does, you vote no. And if you do believe it does, you vote yes. But they can't entertain notions about projects that they don't have the opportunity tonight to review with the dozens of other agencies that would have to review them.
But it's the
It's a
city.
sticky spot for
It's the
us.
city
It's just
who
a question
brought
of
these
so.
subjects up in the application. So that's,
I'm not talking about the quality of the application. The application is just fine. I'm not dismissing the
so
quality of the
I'm
application
going
either.
off the basis and the criteria that they gave. And, let's be serious. Nobody on this island was a bigger proponent for the bond and for the project. I guess what I'm coming down to, and you kind of hit the nail on the head, is this rezone premature? Until we have the actual, we had a project. The bond, if it had passed, we would have the project and we would be looking at it. And I understood why the public institution zone would make sense with that.
Chair, I'm going to jump in here. I'm really sorry, but again, first of all, this is a quasi judicial matter. So it's a little bit different than the legislative items that you take up. So you are confined to the record and you're not able to provide, I'm hearing commissioners provide facts that aren't technically in the record, that aren't under oath. So I want to be really cautious. Again, you have to base your decision tonight based on what the record is. I understand you all have context about this project that goes beyond the record, but for purposes of this proceeding, you have to constrain your decision based on the record the way a judge would. Again, this is quasi judicial, it's court-like. And then also too, to get to Deputy CPD Director's point, I think you're veering into deliberations as opposed to questions.
All right. Are there further questions? Yeah.
I have one more further question here. I just need a little bit of clarification. Under 1905-010, the public institution section, there is some notation having to do with pervious surface. And it looks like it's applicable primarily to schools, but it's generally enough written that there's a requirement. The impervious surface is 55% for elementary and middle schools and 63% for high school mega block. But it looks like it's a general impervious surface requirement. The reason I bring that up is that, the residential zone is 40%. I don't know what the conditional use impervious is at this particular point, but just to make the point that I think that there is a limitation in terms of the size of the development that appears to be written into the particular section of the PI. Can I get a interpretation from the city staff, please, if that is applicable, or is that only for schools? I can't make that determination at this point myself.
Yeah, let me share my screen again so that everyone can see that requirement. So I believe that's under subsection F for public schools, where it says the following requirements apply to public schools. And then
It
it
is.
goes on to list one. And then I believe the standard that you reference is down here in two.
Two, yes, it is. So is it only with schools, not with the government
Yes.
buildings? Okay, thank you.
Chair, I just want to acknowledge that our CPD director has had his hand risen and would like to be acknowledged to address.
Yes. Director, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Thompson. For the record, this is Jeff Thomas with CPD. I believe I probably need to be sworn in. So if the Assistant City Attorney determines that's required, let's do that now before I speak any further.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Give me a second here, please. Do you promise to tell the truth in these proceedings? If so, please respond, I do.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Molly, can you share your screen again with the screen share that you had a moment ago?
Yes.
And can you scroll up to the beginning of 1905-010, please? Thank you. I'd like to enter into the record here this evening in the event that there's any confusion or it's been missed previously. The uses permitted in the public institution zone are shown here on the screen. I'll read them quickly for the record. 1905-010, Section A, uses permitted. 1, government services. 2, public schools under the administration of Mercer Island School District number 400. 3, public park, which was a question that was asked earlier by Vice Chair Gibson, I believe. 4, transit facilities, including transit stops and associated parking lots. 5, on-site hazardous waste treatment and storage facilities as an accessory use to a permitted use in this zone. And 6, wireless communication facilities. There's been some questions and some discussion this evening about other types of uses, and I wanted to make sure everyone is clear on the 6 exclusive uses that we're talking about that are allowed in the PI zone. Molly, you can unshare your screen at this moment. Thank you. The other comment I'd like to make that's come up here this evening is there has been concern, I guess, expressed by one or more of the planning commissioners this evening regards to setbacks and impacts to residential neighbors. Molly or Allison, do we have a map? Do we have a zoning map that we can screen share here briefly for the commission? Is that possible? Or there was an aerial on there earlier in one of the presentations.
Yes, I can share our GIS map.
That'd be great. Thank you. Do we have it with the zoning overlay? I think there might be an option. There it is, I believe. Okay. Molly, can you confirm the purple shade, lavender shade is residential zoning? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. What I'd like to point out here for the commissioners is the 9601 parcel that Molly had just clicked on there a moment ago. While it's been thoroughly discussed here this evening, I believe, the differential between the lack of mandatory zoning setbacks for this parcel versus the current residential zoning, I would like to point out for the benefit of the commission, this 9601 parcel, and I don't know if we have any sort of screenshot that we can put up here for the commission, but this parcel has significant critical area encumbrances on it, which are going to have setbacks and buffer requirements. So I would like to just enter into the record that any notion that there's going to be a city structure related to the maintenance or public safety uses of this parcel, they are not going to be rolling up to the property line, any of these property lines on this 9601 parcel. There are, again, significant encumbrances from a critical area perspective that are going to limit, frankly, and Kelly can speak better to this than I, that are going to limit any structures or uses on this parcel, either to what they are now or possibly in some instances shrink the ability to utilize this parcel to current code. And Kelly, I welcome any additional commentary you'd like to provide to that, but I would like to thank the chair for recognizing me, and that concludes my comments at the moment. Thank you.
Director, can I just ask a question? I think it really helped us all. What,
Sure.
in your opinion, what is the benefit of changing the zoning to public institution from what it is right now? I mean, I'm having a hard, tell us what the benefit is, and I think that would help us go a long way.
Yeah. I think in residential zoning, operating under a conditional use permit, it does limit the city's ability to provide the facilities necessary to provide the services necessary to the residents and the citizens of Mercer Island. And Chair, I believe you pointed it out yourself a number of minutes ago now. The 50,000 square feet that have existed on the two parcels subject to the application here this evening. The city has operational and facility needs that are challenging under the residential zoning and some of the development standards. So the PI zoning does provide an opportunity for the city to responsibly reconstruct the facilities that are necessary to provide the necessary services and operations to the city in a manner that is efficient and reasonable for the operation of the city government. That, to me, in a nutshell, is what the PI zoning will provide the opportunity for us to accomplish. And Molly has provided her analysis here this evening, which I have reviewed. I believe it's an appropriate analysis to the criteria for the zoning itself. Chair, you and others have pointed out here this evening, Commissioner Acuse, I believe, made a good comment a while ago now here in our evening. The development permits and some of what I just spoke to with the critical area limitations is going to mandate that we are only going to be able to use portions of the property that are appropriate to current day development standards.
Thank you. That was very helpful to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a question maybe while we have the director?
While that, can we pull that zoning map back up? So I agree that most of the site is encumbered with steep slopes and wetlands and streams. The area that does concern me is the eastern edge of the property, which I believe is not encumbered and immediately up against the residential zone. Is it true that that is not, is that an area where that could be built right up to the property line?
I do not have the wetland delineation information memorized or mind mapped, but I do believe we do have some challenges around most of the boundary of the 9601 parcel. And again, I'm gonna ask Kelly if she can contribute here with any additional information, but in areas we are not, from all the information that I've reviewed, the intent is not to build up to a zero setback to any parcel line of these two parcels that are subject to the rezone here this evening.
So in this graphic, when I created this slide, I did want to highlight in a very non-surveyed perspective, this tree cover, this green along the boundaries, the east, south, and west. Those areas are encumbered. Now, this is not exact. This is just for, illustration purposes. And it does create that natural buffer. And as Director Thomas said, we are required to meet the current environmental or critical area ordinance, those buffers and setbacks from those buffers. So that is a reality, and that is all addressed in the critical areas report that was submitted with this application.
Right, and the delineation report was in our preparation material, and even on this, it does show that the unencumbered area of the northeast portion of parcel B is unencumbered currently.
Yeah, and we do have a stream that does go along this eastern edge here. Really, we're looking at a developable area and on the City Hall parcel, really where that development is. We do have pockets within the site, but again, when we further advance the design and we go through land use review, we will look at our buildable opportunities within the code and address it at that phase of the project.
Yes, Commissioner Neese.
still trying to understand number 5 here. If this was a flat site without these environmental issues, those setbacks from the critical area wouldn't apply. Are we evaluating this site as a whole, given those critical area setbacks, which, as Jeff pointed out, and I already acknowledged in my prior comments, create setbacks from the surrounding residential areas? But that would occur whether this site was R 8.4 or PI. Are we putting this aside as a separate code and just looking at the PI zone? Let's say it was a flat site without those setbacks, and saying that those regulations specific to the PI zone versus the 8.4, which it is, which I don't know if there's a comparison in here of which each of those allow the setbacks for PI, the lot coverage, impervious surface. That would have been helpful to see, possibly to evaluate this. Are we evaluating it as a specific site with those setbacks related to the critical areas, which I would support? But if you take that away, I kind of feel like Chair Thompson's comments about the PI zone not being a transition zone apply. So how are we supposed to evaluate this? Which method?
I'm having, Allison, do you want me to answer that or Commissioner Neese, was that a question direct? I'm happy to answer the question. Was that directed towards me or was that directed towards someone else? So,
Anyone who would like to answer it.
okay. So I'll give you my answer. And if one of our other staff doesn't like it, I'm sure they'll correct me. So the commission's responsibility here this evening is to evaluate the proposal that's in front of you, which is a rezone to PI. And you're correct in the PI zone, without having any specific standards put in place, does provide for that zero setback, which I believe has already been confirmed here this evening. You are correct. The significant constraints that are on this property that we just discussed a moment ago certainly are a factor in the site and the ability to develop either of these parcels. So in terms of what your role is here this evening and your 4 commission colleagues sitting with you this evening, I would urge you to take the information that's in the record, which everything I've just said is in the record at this point, and evaluate the proposal to the criteria that staff have walked you through, and to make a decision on how each of you feel for each of the criteria that we need to go through one by one to make a determination whether the proposal meets those criteria or not. As Kelly and as Allison have correctly pointed out, the facts of the site and the facts of the land that will speak during any development permitting process that follows in the future will certainly come into play and be important to determine the final redevelopment of both of these parcels.
Anyone have any further questions before we? I think that we've I think that's the end of the question period. So we've done the questions and have all planning commission members had an opportunity to ask any questions that they have? Seeing that everybody said yes, I will now officially close the record. No additional testimony will be made, taken, or permitted. The Mercer Island City Code includes criteria in section 19.15.240C that are to be used to determine whether the city-owned properties may be rezoned. We will discuss each of the rezone criteria in 240C one by one. I will be looking for a motion to adopt the staff findings for each criterion. Commissioners may also make motions to adopt additional or revised findings. At this time, may I have a motion? Can you put up, it says, may I have a motion to adopt the staff findings documented in the staff report and uphold the finding that criteria one has been met? Do you have criteria one that you could just put up? All right, I have a motion to adopt criteria one that the proposed rezone reclassification is consistent with the policies and provisions of the Mercer Island Comprehensive Plan.
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion by Commissioner Perez and a second by Vice Chair Gibson to find that criteria one has been met. Is there any discussion on this? Commissioner Accused, did you? Oh, okay. Well, I'm just going to say that I think each of these are going to come down to the issues that we reached. I think it's very important that I thought Commissioner Accused and the director were really helpful by pointing out the environmental conditions. I'm a big proponent. We do need a new public maintenance building and police department and storage. I'm not a big fan of the PI zone as it's written. It's kind of like the old commercial code where there's just tons of discretion because there is a design commission and it give a lot of, but I do think that this is for public facilities. It needs to be public facilities. And I thought Director Thomas gave a good explanation of how a single zone PI will benefit and facilitate this without possible detriment to the surrounding residential zones that theoretically could exist under the PI zone because of the things that Commissioner Neese and others have pointed out. Is there any other comments? Can you please call the roll on the first motion?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Accused,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
Chair Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner Neese,
Aye.
and Commissioner Perez.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0.
Okay, can you put up criterion 2? Oh, so may I have a motion to adopt the staff findings documented in the staff report and uphold the finding that criterion 2 has been met? Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Vice Chair Gibson has moved and Commissioner Accused has seconded that the Planning Commission find that proposed classification is consistent with the purpose of the Mercer Island Development Code as set forth in MICC 19.01.010. Does anybody have any discussion on that?
I think I'd like to ask for an amendment to this, specifically. Here, I'll just make a motion here. I move to revise the sentence. Sorry, Deb, I'm trying to make this easy for you. There we go. I'd move to replace public safety and maintenance facility with public facilities. just gonna leave it there, then I can talk to it later.
All right. Vice Chair Gibson has moved that the language, construction of the public safety and maintenance PSM facility be changed to public facility. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Acuse has seconded it. Can you explain, Vice Chair, your thinking on this?
Yeah, I think where we got it while we were getting the record was that we shouldn't be looking at a specific project. It should be looking at the broader zone and what can be done here and doesn't meet the criteria based on that. I think the reference to a specific project of the public safety and maintenance building should not be considered in this. I think just revising it to public facilities broadens it, makes it more applicable or appropriate to meet the criteria without considering a future potential project.
Commissioner Acuse, you seconded it. I take it that you agree?
I concur.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because one of the things we need is a police station. So, we have a motion to replace the language public safety and maintenance PSM facility with public facility. Would you please call the roll on that sub-motion, Deputy Clerk?
Just one moment, sir. I have replaced public safety and maintenance facility with public facilities. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was made by Vice Chair Gibson and seconded by Commissioner Acuse. And the vote now is Commissioner Perez,
Aye.
Commissioner Acuse,
Aye.
Commissioner Neese,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
and Chair Thompson.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, now we're back to our main motion to recommend or find that criterion 2 has been met with the amended language as moved by Vice Chair Gibson and seconded by Commissioner Acuse. Can you please call the roll on that?
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Acuse,
Aye.
Chair Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner Perez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Neese.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt the staff findings documented in the staff report and uphold the finding that criteria 3 has been met, that the proposed reclassification is an extension of an existing zone or a logical transition between zones?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Perez has moved that uphold the finding that criterion 3 is met, and that was seconded by Commissioner Neese. Any discussion?
Clarification. So we're accepting the language in our packet, not what's on the screen, correct? Okay. I'd like to make another amendment.
Please go ahead.
So I move to strike the sentence that reads, the PI designation would provide a civic buffer between high-intensity municipal uses and the surrounding low-density residential neighborhood. Both parcels are bounded by CO and R84 zones to the east and west, further reinforcing the appropriateness of the PI zone as a unifying classification that bridges residential and commercial contexts.
And I'm going to politely ask that you please email that to me so that we can.
Yep. And I'm going to keep going here, so I will email you.
Even better, so that we can display it on the screen so everybody's on the same page.
Yep, I'm going to
Thank
read
you.
this and then email it to you real quick.
Perfectly.
And I want to replace that with the following language. The presence of steep slopes, streams, and wetlands along the sorry, I'm cut off. east, south, and west borders of parcel B creates a natural buffer and logical transition between high-intensity municipal uses and low-density residential neighborhood. I will start emailing.
Thanks, John.
Okay, I just hit send, so it's on its way.
Existing PI zone.
It's talking about an existing PI zone on the northern.
Front parcel has one.
Huh? Oh.
Chair, if I may,
Yes, please.
Molly, I'm going to send this to you so you can bring it up on the screen because it's large.
Okay.
And I want to make sure that we're all on the same page and that I am interpreting your email correctly, highlighting the extent of your amendment. And I would also just like to say, as we move forward in 2026, if anyone on the commission thinks that they might be making an amendment, it is helpful to staff if you send that to us in advance so that we can assist you in providing this information, bringing it up. It also helps us from a minute taking standpoint so that we're all on the same page and working together. So, but I appreciate the fact that you had this so readily available and shared it.
Yep, I agree.
So as I read this, and please tell me if I'm misunderstanding, what you are proposing is to strike the section that you have highlighted in yellow.
Correct.
Am I to understand, and I'm going to look to Molly in this case, that this is a section that is outlined already? I'm trying to interpret this. I mean, we're taking out the yellow portion and we're replacing it with what he has below.
So just to clarify, Molly and I were messaging to clarify this between ourselves just a minute ago. The staff findings will remain as written in the staff report. What we're discussing right now is the findings that will be adopted by the planning commission and included in the planning commission recommendation.
Correct.
Which in some cases will be the same as the staff findings, in some cases will be amended as we've been voting on.
Correct.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Yes, I think it helps just to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm saying the starting point is the staff recommendation, and then I'm making these modifications to the staff recommendation.
All right. Do we have a second for this motion?
I'm sorry, can somebody read that again?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I tried to figure out how to zoom in and I don't know how.
It's behind you too.
Oh,
That's better.
Oh, that's better.
I couldn't do that.
I could speak to it too. Well,
How I might interpret this, if it helps from a minute taking standpoint, is I will quite literally take what we have here and I will do a strike through and insert in my minutes demonstrating that you want to delete the portion that is in yellow
Mhm.
and replace it with the portion you have outlined below or replaced with.
correct.
And this is the staff report recommendation. This is your amendment to the staff report recommendation. Is that-
For the planning commission's recommendation.
Yeah, it won't amend the staff report. It'll be drafted as they've directed in the planning commission's recommendation. It'll be
Right, so
a
there's
whole
the
new-
staff report's recommendation. There's what you're looking to recommend as, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you for that clarification.
Do we have a second? I'm sorry.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Vice Chair Gibson to, in criterion 3, to strike the language in yellow and replace it with what he's typed below. And this has been seconded by Commissioner Acuse. And I'll let the Vice Chair start with the reasons for this amendment.
Yep. So I struck two sentences here. The first sentence is stating that the PI designation would provide a civic buffer between municipality uses and residential neighborhoods. I don't agree with that statement, and that's a part of the reason or that is the reason I'm striking that. The second sentence states that the PI zone would create a classification that bridges residential and commercial. I think based on how the map is set up, the PI zone is not in between a residential and commercial. I just think that's the way that the shapes map out. I don't think that's accurate either. So I'm proposing to strike that. I do generally support this criteria, and I think the basis for it is not captured in here. And the basis that I'm inserting is that I think to use the language of the criteria, a logical transition between zones. I do think that a logical transition between zones does exist because of the steep slopes and environmental conditions that separate the municipal uses and the surrounding residential neighborhood. So I didn't see that in the criteria here. I think it should be, and that's why I'm adding it.
Commissioner Acuse, you seconded it. Did you have some comments or something you wanted to add?
I agree, and I'm also tempted, but I won't do it because I think I might be crossing streams here, but I think there's an opportunity for a stormwater park there. So I'll just throw that out there, staff.
Okay, I agree with it. As everyone knows, I am very concerned by the PO zone as it's written. You know, when I first came in here, I was thinking flat lot, you know, a Walmart up against the property line. Commissioner Acuse and Commissioner Neese and Director Thomas have really been helpful to come in and say that nature is giving us the setbacks that the PI zone should have, but doesn't. So I'm going to support this motion. Anybody else? Please call the roll.
So the motion on the table, Chair, is a motion to amend the staff recommendation as outlined above. And then we will vote on the main motion.
Yes.
Thank you.
So you're going to call the roll on sub motion, right, Commissioner?
I'm going to call the roll on the amendment, the
Okay.
motion, yes. Commissioner Perez,
Aye.
Commissioner Acuse,
Aye.
Commissioner Neese,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
and Chair Thompson.
Aye.
The amendment to the motion is approved, and now we have the main motion,
Right, and that's already been stated.
which is to concur with the staff's conclusion that the criterion 3 was met
as amended.
as amended.
All right, please call the roll on that.
Chair Gibson, excuse me, Chair Thompson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
Commissioner Perez,
Aye.
Commissioner Acuse,
Aye.
and Commissioner Neese.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4, please. Could you put that up? Okay, may I have a motion to adopt the staff findings documented in the staff report and uphold the finding that criterion 4 has been met that the proposed reclassification does not constitute an illegal site-specific rezone. Anyone got a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Acuse has moved that the planning commission adopt staff findings for criterion 4, and it was seconded by Commissioner Perez. Does anybody have any discussion? Please call the roll. Okay.
Commissioner Neese,
Aye.
Commissioner Hughes,
Aye.
Commissioner Perez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
and Chair Thompson.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, criterion 5. May I have a motion to adopt the staff findings documented in the staff report and uphold the finding that criterion 5 has been met, that the proposed reclassification is compatible with surrounding zones and land uses?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Acuse has moved that adopt the staff findings in criterion 5, and that has been seconded by Vice Chair Gibson. Do we have any discussion?
Yep. I think that this facility, it's consistent with the existing use. And I think it's appropriate. And I think it's it's public facilities in it's not the zoning. Oh my God. Blood sugar. Anyway, I think it's consistent with what's in the comp plan. The comp plan says that public facilities should be here.
Commissioner Perez, did you have something you were? Well, yes, Vice Chair Gibson.
I was gonna make another motion here. I was more prepared. I sent it to Deb already. I
Okay, make your motion to amend.
think, Deb, you have an email. I'll wait.
Oh, boy.
It's an easy one.
I'm gonna send this to all of you.
Oh, I should have done that in the first place. Sorry.
Let me adjust the zoom on that. I figured out how to zoom.
So I'd like to move to strike 2 sentences from this criteria. The first being the proposed PI zone would provide an appropriate civic transition between municipal functions and residential neighborhoods. The second sentence being the proposed zone reflects the existing civic land use pattern and ensures long-term compatibility with surrounding zones and land uses. So I'll stop there.
That's your motion. Do I have a second? I'll second it. So Vice Chair Gibson has proposed that 2 sentences be deleted from staff findings on criterion 5. It's been seconded by me, the chair. Does anybody have any discussion? Perhaps you would like to go first, Vice Chair?
Yeah, I'll speak to it. The first strike is basically striking the same sentence that we struck before. So same rationale there. The second strike, to me, I think there's a couple things going on there. I believe that this being a PI zone, really in light of what uses are planned for the site, is a unique condition to the island. Looking at all the PI zones on the island, they're either schools, the freeway, or a park. And really, this is a use that does not, this is the first time a PI use has been up against a residential property. I don't think it's consistent for that reason. I don't think it's a consistent application of the PI zone in terms of compatibility with the surrounding zones, which is really what this criteria is about. And so that's.
I seconded it and I support removing those sentences. It just keeps going back to the fact that we have a good project. We need uniform zoning. The use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. But at some point we need to amend the PI zone, although I don't know how many other parcels will be subject to it. So I would support taking those two sentences out and then approving criterion 5. Anybody else? Oh, yes,
I'm interpreting the last sentence as proposed zone reflects the existing civic use and pattern. Having lived in apartments that are right across from a PI zone and living a block away from schools that have houses directly across from them, I disagree that it's not consistent. There's PI zones next to where people are living all over the island. And I think it's consistent and compatible. I'd be fine with removing the first sentence. I think either one is non-consequential. But I'm not okay with removing the last sentence because I do think it is consistent.
I would just respond. I mean, there are no apartments. You're right. I mean, if this were, we're talking about the Tully's property, which is I think PI zoned. I would sit there and say, yeah, this is consistent. It's surrounded by Town Center 5 and 7, so it's consistent. But this parcel, I'm going to vote to approve criterion 5, but I agree with and understand where the vice chair is going. With this, because the PI zone, if you're talking about on a flat lot, is not consistent, with the surrounding uses.
I guess to put a finer point on my comment here, it's not to contest that PI zones don't exist next to residential zones. That is evident across the island. What I am saying is that that consistency is on the basis that it's either a park, a freeway, or a school, and this is none of those, and that is the reason that it's inconsistent.
And it has always been what it is. Which is
Okay.
consistent.
And no further
There's only
discussion.
one.
Can you please call the roll on the motion to amend, removing the two sentences identified by Vice Chair Gibson?
Thank you, Chair. Just gathering my. Okay, Chair Thompson,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
Commissioner Hughes,
Nay.
Commissioner Perez,
Nay.
and Commissioner Neese.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-2.
Okay, we are now back to the main motion to adopt criterion 5. It's been moved and seconded. If we don't have any discussion, I will call for the roll call. Please call the roll for criterion
Okay.
5.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
Commissioner Neese,
Aye.
Commissioner Hughes,
Aye.
Chair Thompson,
Aye.
and Commissioner Perez.
Aye.
Okay,
Main motion is approved as amended 5-0.
let's move on to criterion 6. May I have a motion to adopt the staff findings documented in the staff report and uphold the findings that criterion 6 has been met, that the proposed reclassification does not adversely affect public health, safety, and welfare?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Perez to adopt criterion 6, seconded by Commissioner Hughes. Are there any discussions, proposed amendments, Commissioner Hughes?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion just for consistency that we replace PSM facility with city facilities.
Or public maybe? Was it public facility that we did?
Oh, yeah, public facilities.
Okay, so is there a second?
I second.
Okay, so Commissioner Hughes has moved to amend the language to remove PSM facility and replace it with public facility. It was seconded by Commissioner Perez. Any discussion? Please call the roll on that amendment. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Perez.
I guess the only question is just, I don't know if we want to talk about syntax or any of that sort of thing. Municipal facilities through the construction of a public facility as opposed to the public facility. Is that, to me, that just kind of generalizes it a bit.
All right, so.
I think it's public facilities because they might need more than one building.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So what is the
Construction
proposed
of-
language? It's going to be construction of public facilities?
Construction of public facilities, which are designated to enhance the city's ability.
All right, do we need a new motion for that or to withdraw and do a new motion, Deputy Clerk, since it's?
I definitely need clear direction. We've gone a little bit back and forth. So the original motion was on criterion 6, and the proposed reclassification does not adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare. There was a secondary motion to amend by Accuse and seconded by Perez, which I didn't fully capture that before we went on to edit the amendment. So with that being said,
Maybe you could restate your amendment, proposed amendment, Commissioner Accuse.
Is that acceptable, Deb?
yeah, you can go ahead and if you want to restate that to capture where you went,
I
that
will
would be
do
just
that.
fine with me.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
thank
think
you.
it's where we started. Construction of public facilities.
Okay, I'm going to back you up because originally I saw a remove word. So
Oh, sorry.
motion by Accuse, seconded by Perez to
Strike the PSM facility. And then strike the word is after which.
do we have a way, Molly, to wordsmith what you have up there or not?
Yes, but I was just gonna maybe clarify, what's on the screen is a summary of the staff finding, and the actual staff findings are found in the staff report. So the language up here wouldn't it be in your recommendation word for word as what's up here?
You know what? I'd like to withdraw my motion because keep it.
It's the same.
Okay, so the staff finding says the proposed rezone would directly support public health, safety, modern specific with a modern. So I think it would be in before.
Is your mic on? I'm sorry. I can't hear you very well, Kate. Thank you. It's important to hear everything you have to say.
Yeah. Before the word modern, strike A. And after the word modern, strike public safety and maintenance facility.
And since I don't have the wording in front of me, I'm going to rely on Molly.
Oh, goodness.
So that was remove.
Strike A and then after the word modern, strike public safety and maintenance facility.
Sorry, I did not have the Word version available.
I've got Adobe Pro, so this is going to drive me bananas.
Yeah, if we have suggestions on how to,
You can go into edit mode if you have Pro, but I don't know if you have Pro.
I think I'm in edit PDF.
Huh.
Am I not?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can I do strike through and underline in Pro?
I think so. I think you use the font tools on the right.
I think it's the fifth icon down, the green one, second green one.
Otherwise, maybe just copy and paste it into Word if it's
Yeah,
easier.
that was my thought.
Oh,
Yeah.
smart.
I'll do that.
Sorry.
Yep.
And then we have something that we can copy and paste to the clerk.
Oh, nice space here.
Do we not want to maintain public facility?
Yeah, I'm not done yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Molly.
We're striking A and we're striking public safety and maintenance facility. And then we're gonna have in lowercase in front of the word designed. Public facilities space. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Molly, if you'll send that to me so that I have that, because what I'll do is I'll copy and paste that into the minutes with the strike and additions.
Yep.
Which is much cleaner than me saying strike this, add this, so on and so forth. And I'm just gonna make a note to myself, get the wording from Molly.
Do we have a motion for this? We do, okay,
I
good.
made a motion.
okay.
I don't think it's been seconded because we didn't finish the, oh, you seconded.
Well, the amendment that you have proposed here was originally motioned by you and seconded by Perez.
That's correct.
Great, thank you.
So if you're still in agreement, but I heard you indicate that there's additional,
No,
okay,
he was worried I was gonna leave off public facilities.
okay. All right, so I think we have our amendment in place.
Okay,
Molly's gonna send that to me, so I have it. And then if the chair is okay, we'll proceed with voting on the proposed amendment.
yes, please.
Okay. And picking randomly as my head wants to do, Commissioner Neese,
Aye.
Commissioner Hughes,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
Commissioner Perez,
Aye.
and Chair Thompson.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, we're now to the final.
Yes.
Staff finding 7, okay. May I have a motion to adopt?
That wasn't a
Oh, that's
motion
right.
on the amendment. We still need a motion on the main, we still need a vote on the main motion,
Yes.
excuse me.
Can you call the roll on adopting criterion 7?
Criterion 6.
6, right. Sorry.
Okay. Chair Thompson,
Aye.
Commissioner Perez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
Commissioner Hughes,
Aye.
and Commissioner Neese.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, may I have a motion passes, right?
Yes.
Okay. May I have a motion to adopt the staff findings documented in the staff report and uphold the finding that criterion 7 has been met, that a comprehensive plan amendment is not required for this rezone.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Vice Chair Gibson has moved to adopt staff finding criterion 7, and Commissioner Perez has seconded that. Any discussion? I don't think so. This one's pretty clear. Okay, please call the roll.
I'm sorry, I'm looking for a clean motion up here. I see criteria 7. And what are you agreeing on? Because it says if,
I see, yes. I think the motion, we could go back that the proposed rezone does not require a comprehensive plan amendment, and therefore this criterion is not applicable.
okay. You give me one moment. I want to make sure I'm. And I want to make sure that I have this correct. I have a motion by Gibson and a second by Perez at criterion 7. A comprehensive plan amendment is not required to satisfy subsection, et cetera, et cetera. Therefore, this criterion is not applicable.
Yes,
Is that correct?
yes.
I want to make sure that we all understand that correctly. Okay.
Are we going to see that also? The adjustment?
I think the motion here was just to uphold the staff finding, which is at the bottom of the slide there.
I think
Okay.
that that's a much better understanding
Yeah,
of the
thank you.
motion if we're all in agreement. So I'm going to, with your permission, that criterion 7, the proposed rezone does not require a comprehensive plan amendment and therefore is not applicable.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
I think that's better wording. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification. And your patience. Okay, Commissioner Perez,
Aye.
Commissioner Hughes,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
Commissioner Neese,
Aye.
and Chair Thompson.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. Based on the adopted findings on the criteria in MICC 19.15.240C, the Planning Commission now must make a recommendation to the City Council on whether to approve or deny the requested classification of the property. May I have a motion to recommend that the City Council approve the reclassification of the 2 city-owned parcels to the public institution zone?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Perez has moved that the Planning Commission recommend that the City Council approve the reclassification of the 2 city-owned parcels to the public institution PI zone, and it has been seconded by Commissioner Hughes. Any discussion?
I think I'd just like to make a comment.
Yes, Vice Chair Gibson.
At this point, I don't know if this actually goes anywhere or just goes out into the ether, but I believe that it would be wise for the council to consider holding off on the rezoning approval until there was another proposal for the PSM on the table that can go alongside this. Conditions can change and there are things that can be considered with the site that may not be clear today, and this may be this could get in the way of that if it gets passed before that proposal's put out there. The other thing that would potentially allow is for them to docket some updates to the PI zone regulations to add some protections to the buffer or the transition from a municipal use to a residential use. And I just think that would be wise. Like I said, I don't know. It's not a motion. It's just a comment. So,
We're
just
kind of
want
late
to
in
put
the
it out
game
there.
and we're going to approve the rezone, but I understand what we're saying. Maybe staff can put it on their work plan or something to take a look at the PI zone. I think that this parcel and the rezone and the development under the rezone is going to be determined by the amount of the bond and by the surrounding wetlands and the use. So these are the critical facilities for Mercer Island. This rezone facilitates those. It's got surrounding buffers. The actual design of these buildings is not going to call into question, some of the questionable height limits in the PI zone. These are all flat, maybe two-story buildings. That's what you have for these buildings. It will be up to the council to come up, with another alternative bond and project that hopefully passes. And I think our job is just to send this on. This is step one. And let's hope that it ends up getting these facilities that we desperately need. So it's not a motion, it's just a comment, so you can call the roll on adopting the final motion. Your comment? Oh, do you have something you want to say? Did I? Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to share just a slightly alternate perspective that I've often heard in public meetings, people say it's a bait and switch. Like, you said you're going to do this and now you're going to rezone, so I think there might be an opportunity here that the public gets to see, it's almost like, to me, it feels like a more appropriate order, right? Like, exactly what the parameters are, and there's no surprise because we rezoned it later, and then they can do things that the public thought weren't allowed when they voted for the bond. So it's just an alternate perspective. I could see both ways, but to me, as a resident, it just offers more clarity on what possibilities could be.
Right. Well, just as a tangent, the problem we're going to have going forward is the site hard costs on the prior project are 23 million and the permitting and administrative is 18. So we're going to really have to fight hard to get enough money so that we get enough money for the facility hard costs. It sounds funny after everything we've done on the PI zone, but the real fight going forward is getting enough money to get the appropriate size facilities. That's what we're going to be fighting for, is that we have enough money after all these sunk costs, and I don't think that was made very clear, that we have to spend all this money before we even, build a porta potty. So I think everybody's on the page, we've got to get them. They're going to be great when we do get them. I don't think they're going to be a bait and switch.
Not saying it won't be a bait and switch.
No, I mean, we've got the surrounding buffer. That was my big concern. And then the next concern that I've had for a long time, we got to go and make sure that there's enough money left for the hard site, the facilities themselves. So I think you can call the roll call now that I've had my spiel. Yes.
Okay, so the motion was made by Perez, seconded by Accused, to recommend that the city council approve the reclassification of the two city-owned parcels to the public institution PI zone.
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, Commissioner Neese,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gibson,
Aye.
Commissioner Perez,
Aye.
Commissioner Accused, and Chair Thompson.
Aye.
Motion is approved 5-0.
Now we move to other business. Do we have a report from the deputy director?
Just a very, very brief one. So as a reminder, we've canceled the December meeting. And our next meeting is January 28th. So we've got a little bit of a hiatus here for the holidays, but don't let that make you feel like things are going to be easy next year, because I think we'll have a packed schedule once we reconvene in the new year.
Yeah, I've forgotten. What do you think will be the first few things that are coming out of the gate in January and February on the work plan?
I don't have a clear answer for you on that yet. We're still working through the scope and timeline for all the growth management compliance work. And I don't yet know exactly when that'll be coming to the commission and what we can slot in kind of before and after. we'll be getting that ironed out here in the next 2 months, kind of right before that meeting. We're scheduled to do a planning session with the city council on January 16th that will be primarily focused on talking about that project. And will help us determine kind of the order of operation and how things will flow through the year.
Right, all right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anybody? Okay, there being no other business to come before the planning commission. The time now is 8:25. And the meeting is adjourned. As a reminder, commissioners, please stay seated until the city staff has terminated the broadcast. Good evening and thank you for joining us.